Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rich Estrella's Sports Corner. And I am your host, Rich Estrella, along with John Conte and Bob Gibson. And listen, man, tonight we are coming to you from Lighthouse Studios. Our guest tonight is the venerable Tom Flores. And if you're wondering why we got these beards, I've been growing this beard now since we were with the Angels. Actually, we had Tom in on the radio show and said we will not shave until Coach Flores gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. And from what I'm hearing, there's a good possibility, John, that Coach Flores will make it this time.
Well, I'm hoping that we can call the Dollar Shave Club tomorrow and get rid of these dumb beards, because
I got a James Harden one.
There is nobody more deserving than the great legendary Coach Tom Flores. And Coach, we're so happy that you joined us tonight. We know you're busy, and we just appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to hang out with us and talk Super Bowl. But most importantly, we're all trying to find those Coors Light cans, Coach. We can't even get them on Amazon. So welcome to the show, and you got to lead off with telling us, where can we find those cans?
Well, you have to go to Vegas. Right now, my understanding is the only place you can buy the complete can, that means the can with the picture and real beer in it, is in Las Vegas right now. Now, whether that's going to continue through the Super Bowl and beyond, I don't know, because you would think that they would sell it like that, at least in my hometown of Sanger, or in Oakland, or in LA, in Southern California, where the Raiders are huge. But I don't know. I mean, they must have a plan, so I'm just waiting to see. I got my share if you guys want to come over after.
We're coming over for sure, Coach. We're coming over for sure, because we can't find those cans anywhere.
They should sell them in LA, because let's face it, it's because of you that Los Angeles has a Super Bowl championship trophy. The Rams were here for a million years, couldn't do it. They split, they came back, they still can't do it. But Tom Flores' Raiders, John, brought us the biggest joy in LA history by bringing home a Super Bowl.
The only Super Bowl championship. And Bob,
1983 season.
Bob, it did not come from your Los Angeles, St. Louis, Cleveland Rams. It came came from Coach Flores' Los Angeles Raiders. And look,
very true.
And of course, we're never going to forget the Marcus Allen run, everything that happened in that game. That was an amazing, amazing game. And
I called that play.
Sure you did. And Coach Flores is the only coach to bring a championship to the city of Los Angeles. So for that, Coach, we thank you very much.
Hey, Tom, let's talk about that busted play, though. Was that play? What was supposed to happen on that play when Marcus ran for the Super Bowl? 64 yards?
74 yards.
74 yards.
It was well designed, because first of all, you make it look like they stopped the play and they stuffed it. And Marcus turns around and he picks up Jim Plunkett, who's an excellent down the field blocker as a quarterback. And then he turns the corner and outruns the entire field of Redskins, with Cliff Branch leading them into the end zone. So, yeah, we worked on that play every day. Every day we worked on it.
I bet you did. Well, it worked like a team, brought a championship to LA. Hey, Coach, I got to take this beard off, man. As far as I'm concerned, this takes off the curse. And you're getting in the hall, because my beard just got shaved, Bob and John. Bob shaved his beard. Did you notice that?
I'm the one that said it last week. We're not shaving until Coach is in the Hall of Fame, and Coach is getting in. I got a good feeling this year. It's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely got my beard off.
Well,
now.
I can tell you something right now. Look, this beard's getting a little bit itchy, and there's nothing I'd like more to remove this thing. And look, I'm just real confident that hopefully tomorrow we're going to be celebrating something. Coach, I know this has been a journey. What's going on right now? I mean, is there any communications? Are you just kind of sitting on pins and needles like the rest of us? Because we believe tomorrow's the big announcement.
Well, I certainly hope so. I've been waiting for this for a long, long time, and I've gotten a little disappointed in past years when I came so close and didn't make it. So this time I'm trying to keep my composure and not get so excited. But you know what? I am excited, because it's close and it looks even better than it's ever looked. So I'll be hosting the Coors Light, and I hope you can find one with some beer in it. If not, fill it with something else.
Absolutely.
Hey, we might be knocking on your door tomorrow to get one of those Coors Lights from you. I'm sorry, Bob. Go ahead.
Right. Hey, Coach, I don't know if you remember, I was just reading this today when Ray Guy finally got the phone call that the only punter in the Hall of Fame right now. When Ray Guy got that phone call, he kind of collapsed and said, "I didn't realize what it meant to me until I heard those words." Is that kind of maybe how you're feeling about it too? If it does happen, that just the feeling you don't know what it means until it actually is. Maybe it hits you at that moment.
People say, "Well, how are you going to feel?" I said, "I don't know how I'm going to feel. I really don't. I know how I felt when I didn't get the knock, but 2 years ago, and I'm sitting in my room in Atlanta, and I tell you, the air came out of my balloon, and I was about as low as you could go. So I even that night made flight reservations, and the next morning we flew back from Atlanta to watch the game here in my home in Palm Springs. I never expected that kind of response, but I did. So I don't know what to expect other than if I do make it in, you might see me flying around the room, literally flying around the room.
Well, listen, when this does happen tomorrow, Coach, we're just so confident. We're just so pulling for you that when this does happen, I mean, it's probably going to be an even greater feeling because of everything that you've been through. We all think it's a shame that you're not already there, but hey, no time is too late. And again, we've been talking about you for years and years and years on this show, and there's just so many people that just feel that you've done so much for the game that this is your time, Coach, and we're just really, really, really hoping good thoughts for you tomorrow.
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, I spent going on 61 years in professional football, and most of those years with the Raiders. I think I've handled myself with dignity and hopefully class, and won a few rings along the way. Now I have a chance to get that big ring and the gold jacket and the bust, and go in with a lot of my peers and friends and former teammates. So this is it. This is a moment, and God, I'm hoping it happens because it's going to be a heck of a party when it does.
We've talked to quite a few people about it, and it just didn't make any sense with your resume why you weren't in. There was coaches with a lot lesser of a resume than yourself that have gotten in, but it's just amazing. 4 Super Bowls, 2 as a player, coach, everything else, and so forth and so on. So you've done your share. And like I said, brought the only championship to the Raiders. And your teams were probably the hardest teams to coach, the hardest to manage. We've talked about this before, working with guys like John Matusik, Ted Hendricks, the Mad Stork, Lyle Alzado. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, he even knew Jim Otto, guys. I mean, think about that. Tom goes back to Jim Otto, 00, who was like the biggest icon of the Raiders for a long time, simply because of what he did. I mean, that guy gave it all for a long time. And, of course, we got George Blanda, another big star from yesteryear. Can't forget Darryl LaMonica, Marv Hubbard. I mean, we go down the list. There's so many great Raiders. But, Tom, you've put yourself at the top of that heap in a lot of ways simply because you were the first quarterback for the Raiders.
Yeah,
right?
I was
Back
in 1960 in Santa Cruz.
Yep.
1960 Santa Cruz, I took the first snap as a Raider quarterback from Jim Otto.
See, I told you knew Jim Otto.
And we played together and have known each other since then. We were original Raiders, and Jim is the epitome of what a Raider stands for. He spent his whole career, an incredible career of about 15 playing years as a center, as a tough guy, toughest guy I know. And he was a pro, all with one team, and he's continued to be with them since. So I love the guy. I mean, he was about as good as there was in a time when the league didn't have a lot of superstars.
Jim gave it all. I mean, he really did. He gave his whole body, his whole life to the Raiders. I mean, I remember seeing documentaries on Jim Otto and how he had to get out of bed, and it's one leg at a time, one limb at a time. He has to take stock of everything before he stands up. But he really did give his all. Where was Jim from, Coach?
Well, Jim was born, he was raised in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And then he went to school at Miami, University of Miami. So we got him as a young 218-pound linebacker center. In those days in college, you went both ways. And so he was a good linebacker, but he was even a better center. And he grew up right away as a center and gained some weight and became the center. And, the prototype of what you want a center to be.
Yeah, hey, Coach, you have a really unique perspective because if you do get in the Hall of Fame tomorrow, I don't know how many I don't know how many guys will be able to say they have a bust in there that were an accomplished player as well as an accomplished coach. I mean, it really is a unique perspective of being able to say, hey, you had both sides of it, and that's what helped get you over the top.
Yeah, right. I'm very proud of that part. You know, I played quarterback for 10 years, not a starter for 10, but starter for 6 of those years, and I still have, you know, some lasting mention in the statistics and the history of the American Football League, which was 10 years. There were only 20 guys of that group that went through there that lasted each of the 20 years of the 10 years, of the American Football League. So I'm very proud of that league, very proud of what it accomplished, because without that league, I don't know that there would have been the NFL as soon as there was without us to create the impetus that they needed, and also without TV. TV has been incredible for football. It's a perfect venue for it.
Yeah, that merger was something else. What do you remember about that when Namath, man, took his team? Must have blew your mind when he guaranteed a win against the Colts.
It's interesting because there were a bunch of us in Palm Springs having a golf tournament and having a meeting. And it was a joint meeting between the NFL and the AFL player reps. And I was there with them, and you know, no one expected the Jets to win. And then Joe comes out like that. And I said, "Holy cow! What's he putting himself in a backing up in the corner?" But then even though we felt that we were pretty much equal, and then they came out and they did a number. They won a well balanced game and a solid game. It wasn't anything, no real big plays, but there were some good plays.
And no tuck roll.
Yeah.
No tuck roll coming into play, right?
Yeah, we were involved in a lot of that stuff with the Raiders were. The Franco Harris catch, and oh man.
Oh my God.
I mean, we helped change a lot of the rules. The Raiders seemed to be involved in all those things. It was probably a conspiracy.
What was that, Dave? Remember Dave Casper on that fumble that went like 80 yards? The ball kept going.
Well, it was a fumble. Yeah,
it was.
The fact that he kicked it a couple of times, that had nothing to do with it. No.
He didn't kick it; he punted it.
That was more like hacky sack than a fumble. That thing was getting rolled right down the field.
They changed the rule. So they made it illegal to do.
So what are we saying, that 90% of the rule changes are because of the Raiders? Is that what this is?
And that you're saying it. I'm not saying it.
Tom's just pointing out some key facts here.
How things have changed, that's for sure.
Tom, compare playing and/or coaching at the Oakland Alameda Coliseum in Oakland versus Los Angeles. What were some of the differences that you could share with us? Because those are two completely different towns, different personalities, completely.
Well, in Oakland, we had 52,000 fans, and they eventually built it up so that 60,000 could get in that stadium when we came back from Los Angeles. But at that time, before we left, we were 52,000 capacity, and every Sunday was like Halloween because of the way people were dressed. It was kind of frightening. You walk through the parking lot in the tailgate parties, and you almost wanted to get a bodyguard because of the way they looked. But then the people were having these great tailgate parties with this wonderful smelling food, and the friendliest people, the dangerous people looking people, but they were friendly. You know, they had these guys with spikes coming out of their shoulders and out of their head and in the middle of the nose area, and it was all painted and the growling and everything and jumping on your car in the parking lot. But they were the nicest guys in the world because they were the Raider Nation. And the Black Hole was a friendly place, but be careful.
Well, all I know is on Sundays when the Raiders were home, they opened up Alcatraz and let them out. Sent them all to Oakland Alameda Coliseum. All 2,400 inmates.
When we went to L.A., that changed because we didn't have the same kind. They still had tailgate, but it wasn't like Oakland because it wasn't the same people every week. And then wherever they had problems, usually it was in the end zone, which were not the season ticket holders. But people would come maybe for one game a year and maybe have a little too much beverage before, and then they get a little carried away. But but by and large, the Raider fans, the nation has been great, and they're all over the country. Wherever you go, there they are. There they are.
Tom,
So
covering your games back in the '80s. At first we'd hang out on the sidelines and watch the games because they were great to see. But once we saw the fights that were going on in those stands, we had to get up on the roof of the press box with Jim Hill and just get our cameras down and just kind of shoot all the fights because there was some good ones. There was some good matches up in the stands. Sometimes there was 8 or 9 at one time.
Oh, I was watching the field, really. But if I wasn't watching the field, I was looking behind me at the Raiderettes. Look at these guys.
You know those guys, too. Those are some of your neighbors.
You just at your tailgate? Holy Toledo.
No.
Hey,
oh, man.
Hey, that new stadium's going to be rocking too because now that they're in Las Vegas, you can get the people from Oakland to fly in, the
LA.
people from LA to fly in. I mean, it's almost like a dream come true for Raider fans. It's going to be a big melting pot for them. That place is going to be rocking once they can, have fans in there and fill that place up. What a shame we didn't get to see a lot of fans this year. But we're all trying to be safe. And what's the capacity going to be for the Super Bowl, Bob? Do you know offhand?
What they say? 15,000?
Yeah,
I think it was 15,000.
This year, yeah.
15,000. I mean,
About 7 or 8 of that's going to be the essential workers, the medical workers they're bringing in to represent in there as well. So very few are just normal or casual fans, as you would put it.
I did the opening game, the very first game, radio broadcast with Brent Musburger and Lincoln Kennedy, and I was a guest after having done the radio for 21 years. Mark Davis and Mark Bedane invited me to, and I'm sure Carol Davis had something to say, to be the guest announcer because I had announced the team and I'd been with them the very first game ever in 1960. So I was able to go see the stadium this year or this past season, and I walked in there, and every time I turned around, it was wow, look at that, wow, look at that, wow, look at that. I mean, it was just incredible. And while we're doing the game, no fans, the Raiderettes are on the top of Caesar's Palace or somebody doing their dance, and there are all these people outside. I said, "What are you guys doing here?" They said, "We're here for the game." I said, "You can't go to the inside." He said, "It doesn't matter. We're here for the game." So they were there traveling in the parking lot, watching it on little TVs.
Just to see the game. It's amazing. Nothing brings fans together like people together like football, man. I don't care. It crosses every boundary, race, creed, everything. Religion, doesn't matter, socioeconomics, you name it. People love their football teams. And in particular, America's team, John, the Raiders. John's a big 49er fan, Tom, so don't let him fool you. That's the only thing he likes about the Bay.
He knows that already. He know, I'm on the other side of the Bay for my football team, but I still have so much respect for the great legend Tom Flores that I love talking to Raider fans in general. They are nice. I've met so many of those guys with the spikes and the things coming out of their head. They're all great people. They're just really passionate fans, and that's what football is all about. People being passionate. And again, we got Super Bowl Sunday coming up. I mean, my team's not there, but I'm passionate about the game, and I think we got a great matchup that we need to talk about, Rich.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a few seconds here, but I want to talk a little bit more with Coach Flores about those those LA days because, we were here during all that. It was the greatest time in NFL history to be in Angelino. USC was killing it, and so were the Raiders, so things were going really good.
The same team,
football.
wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that, Tom. You said something to John Robinson one time. I forgot where we were at. We were somewhere, and we were talking at a seminar. I was interviewing you guys for the room, and you told everybody that Marcus Allen had to take a pay cut when he left USC to come play for the Raiders. Any truth to that?
My lips are sealed, whatever happened at the Raiders stays with the Raiders.
I'll tell you what. You and John Robinson are too much together, man. You guys they just go back and forth, John. They eat each other up.
Oh, I was there.
I love it.
I was there. That was great. They were both taking credit for the same people. And, one guy was coaching one guy up for the other and so on and so forth.
Some guy knew him in Little League, Pee Wee football, It was great, man. It's a great
I made
time.
Marcus everything he was. John had nothing to do with it. I took John and made him star.
Well, yeah, I probably is.
I'm with that. This sounds good to me.
Yeah, too much.
We should have John on and ask him what he thinks, right?
No, here we go.
It's fun just to get those guys together.
Yeah, it is. No doubt. Coach, we were talking earlier before we came on the air. I was asking you a bunch of questions about what you thought about the game because I was placing a bunch of bets, okay? And he was telling me to take tails because tails never fails. Bet on that. He said the wind would blow northeast, so right. I bet on that. But, Coach, let's talk a little bit about the Super Bowl now. This is a very interesting game, and let's start with the obvious and get it out of the way. Aside from asking you who's going to win or lose, doesn't matter. It's the dynamic between Mahomes and Brady. And this is big because you got the young gunslinger Mahomes who has all his weapons around him. They got a very fast team. And then you got Tom Brady, the old wily veteran, steady does it. A lot of experience. Nobody thought that Tom Brady would have taken the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in his first season to the Super Bowl. It's like you said earlier. Possibility they may get to the playoffs, maybe not. But to get to the Super Bowl is just amazing. Talk about the Mahomes-Brady situation, the differences in the two, and who has the advantage as the quarterback in this particular game.
Yeah, well, I think, first of all, Brady, what he's done is just miraculous. You wouldn't think it would ever be done, and you probably won't be done ever again in our lifetime. But to be in 10 Super Bowls, and he's 43 years old, and he's still in good condition, then that's the key. Can you keep him on his feet long enough to make things happen? And he doesn't have to be on the feet that long because he's got his type of system that they have made their team into. Now the system is the same kind of system that they had in New England. So he just gets rid of the ball quickly, and little by little, you saw during the course of the year, all of a sudden he had little crossing routes, in routes, team routes, and as soon as that ball was snapped, he knew exactly where he was going to go with the ball. So he was rid of it before you could get to him. If they can get to Brady, then the age might show a little bit. But if they let him keep the game close going into the fourth quarter, then the chances of him winning are pretty darn good. Now, having said that, Mahomes is just it's hard to describe what he is because he's been around such little time and done so much that you never know what he's going to do, and he's just miraculous. I mean, in that respect. So, he's just he's fun to watch. And can he do it again? Can he continue to do it? My answer is yes. So I'm if I had to pick somebody, I would pick the Chiefs. Mahomes, they have so much speed that will the Tampa Bay Buccaneers be able to match their speed?
I don't know, man. Scotty Miller. I mean, he already went toe-to-toe, John, with your boy Tyreek,
Listen, that Chiefs offense is so fast. We've talked about this before. It's a track meet. You got Tyreek Hill running down the field, then you got Travis Kelce open over the middle. They're a very, very dynamic offense. And then you have Patrick Mahomes, who can do magical things. He's much younger. He's much more athletic. And, just like Coach Flores was saying off the air, he doesn't even know really, he doesn't think about it. It's very natural to making these sidearm throws and doing all these athletic things.
It's perfunctory.
So from an athletic standpoint, the edge goes to Mahomes. But from the experience standpoint, you have to give it to Tom Brady. I don't think many people thought they were going to be in the Super Bowl. I think, some of us thought, hey, they might make it to the playoffs, maybe a tough time winning the division because they have Drew Brees. Sure enough, that offense adjusted to them, and they're here. And given the fact that he is so smart at his pre-snap reads, I really think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have an advantage to win this game. And when you look at the numbers, Tampa Bay, they average 30 points a game. Kansas City averaged 29. Pretty even. Each defense gives up an average of 22. Dead even. So I think it's going to come down to that wily veteran, Tom Brady. And I think Tom Brady really wants this one because he knows the one quarterback that can break all of his records is going to be on the other side of the field.
at some point, if he sticks around long enough, we're not talking about Drew Brees because he's chasing Brees right now, and he'll get him if Brees stays out of the league next year. Brady will get him.
Mahomes is just so talented that I could see him, picking up many Super Bowls, with him and Andy Reid and this nucleus of a team. Now, of course, things happen with salary cap and whatnot, but I think everybody knows that Patrick Mahomes is very special, and if anybody could catch Tom Brady, it'd be Patrick Mahomes.
Well, I'm not going to go out on a limb so early and say that. Mahomes has done well now, but we've seen this before. We've talked about it before. Dan Marino got to the Super Bowl his rookie year, and it was a long time. I don't even think he ever got back, John. And there's a few other ones. Cam Newton was one that comes to mind when this came out. He was killing it, and we saw what happened to him. He just kind of crashed and burned. So a lot of pressure gets put on these quarterbacks, but I do think Mahomes is a different cat. I think he's a different type of guy. I don't think he's going to let the pressure get to him as much. And when Coach said about Brady and if Kansas City can put the heat on him and take that 3 seconds, he has to throw the ball down to maybe 2.5. I don't think Brady's going to get caught by that. I don't think it's going to bug him. He's already seen that. And if he has to throw it away, he'll throw it away. If he has to dump it 2 or 3 times during the series, he's going to do it. And I just think that he has too much savvy. And, it's going to be interesting to see what happens because it's great athleticism. And so far, like Coach said, Mahomes has done a lot in a short span. We'll see if what happens here. This could define Mahomes down the road, too.
So I'm taking the Bucks. Bob, what about you?
I'm taking the Chiefs. I really like the Chiefs here. I think the Chiefs just have too much offense for that Tampa Bay defense. I know what Brady can do. I've seen him beat my Rams a couple of times. Oh, one of them legitimate actually. And
Bob owns the Rams.
So I've seen what Tom Brady can do. But Mahomes is really good and Kelsey's good. And man, they just throw the kitchen sink at you in Kansas City. And Andy Reid is such a good head coach. I mean, you can't overlook the head coaching matchup. And I like Andy Reid and what he can do in that matchup as well.
They run so many motions in that offense too that. I've seen Travis Kelce wide open on so many occasions, and you're thinking, how can this guy be so wide open? He's a focal point, but they run all these tricky formations, all these things pre-snap, and those guys are open, and all those guys are fast and strong. So you get the ball in their hands, there's going to be trouble. I'm just going to side with Tom Brady on this one.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you, we're in different times right now with the pandemic, but, man, what was your biggest concern with those Raider teams that you went to the bowl with? As far as what's going on after hours, possibly the night before the game, we all heard about the stories about Max McGee, the Packers. What was your biggest concern with your players?
Well, my biggest concern was that they wouldn't get caught. I didn't want to know about it. The most notarized one was when my first Super Bowl as head coach, John Matuszak, on a Wednesday night went out. Or Tuesday night, whatever it was, he went out and he was seen on Bourbon Street. And so I brought him in the next day and I said, did you really, here you are, 6'7", 310 pounds. Did you think you wouldn't be seen on Bourbon Street? And he said, well, no, Coach, no. I said, you don't understand. I was out there looking for everybody to make sure they were all in.
That sounds like the twos.
And I said, it was everything I could do. So I look up at him and I said, okay, get back into your meeting.
That was it.
And he was, and then from then on, I had no problem. I didn't catch anybody the rest of the week. And we played almost a flawless game. And the team that was paramilitary type of training all week long on the Eagles, they made all the mistakes. 3 interceptions, a fumble, and a block kick. So I guess my method, Dick Vermeer was a wonderful coach, good friend of mine. But our guys, we didn't change because they were used to their freedom to a point. And so when we practiced hard. When we studied hard. And when we played hard and disciplined. And we peaked at the right time.
Coach, how did Rod Martin not get MVP of that Super Bowl with the Eagles, man? 3 interceptions, and he couldn't get a vote, really? They gave it to Plunkett, 169 yards passing? Come on.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Jim had a great game. He did a good job managing managing the offense. Made some big plays in the game. But you're right, Rod Martin deserved to be. If anything, the best case scenario would have been Rod and Jim MVPs.
Well, they had tri-MVPs when Dallas was Super Bowl V. 3 guys on the defense. It was a tri-MVP situation.
Yeah.
Randy White and I can't remember the backers at the time. But anyways,
Harvey Martin, I think, was one of them, right?
No, it wasn't Harvey Martin. Doesn't even matter, Bob, but that's a good guess. It was Jethro Too Tall Jones. We're going to go there, too.
Hey, Coach, what do you think it would be like coaching today? Because now, I mean, look, these guys
Chuck Howley.
These guys are on their iPads instantly. They can look at defenses. I mean, back in the day when you were coaching, were they still sending down film? And, I mean, how much more difficult was it to coach then versus now with this technology?
Well, now with all the technology, it's so much easier to get information to the players during the week, during practices. They can walk off the field, and as soon as they get to their locker after practice, they have a tape of their entire practice sitting in their bench, and they can review that right there in the laptop, and then take it home with them to review it again. That's the kind of technology we have nowadays. So those are incredible thing. They have masseuses now. They have hot tubs and saunas, and you wonder if it's a health club but they have incredible machinery to get their bodies conditioned and ready to play. But it's fun to see. The hard part about coaching nowadays is all the media. It's so public. Everything they do is somebody's going to get on tape. So you have to tell them, be careful, because somebody's watching you. And if they have a phone and you do something stupid, you're going to be on YouTube that night.
No doubt.
So don't do anything stupid. So behave. And if anything, that is a watchdog for the players, for the sports teams. Your player was out last night. Here he is. And you can say, no, I wasn't. Yes, you were. Here you are.
You didn't have to go searching for him.
You can't run and hide from anything. I could have shown
Matuzak his own picture down in Bourbon Street.
He still would have denied it, though, right?
He still would have denied it, yeah. He would have, yeah.
Tom, be lucky that you didn't have social media on the Raiders teams back in those days with all those characters, man. You can just imagine the mayhem that would have ensued because, that just how the way people are acting today with their social media and how big their heads get. Interesting stuff. I wanted to ask you real quick about the AFC Championship game back in '83 with the Seattle Seahawks with Kurt Warner running back. You had, I think Jim Zorn was on that team. A lot of hype surrounding that game, but man, you guys just went right through them. Did you expect that game to be an anticlimactic AFC Championship game? This was in LA.
Well, we had played them that year. They were still in our division, in our conference those days. So we had played them twice. They had beaten us twice. So we were 12-4, and 2 of those 4 losses were to the Seahawks. So we knew how to play them, and we had, I don't know, something like 12 or 13 turnovers in 2 games. It's terrible, horrendous. Seems like every time we turn around, the ball was on the ground. So, and they had mouthed off a little bit before the game and come to their players. So that was not a good thing to do when you have some of the interesting people that we had in our locker room, like Alzado and Hendricks. So right before we're getting ready to go out to play the game, and I was nervous about the game because I was hoping that we would mess up like we did during the regular season. But we were peaking, and we were really playing well.
You wiped them out.
But Alzado said, "Coach, can I say something?" And so I said, "Well, I'd never done that before." I said, "Okay." So in about a 45 minute second, rage of rah-rah, he gave us a speech that when it was over, I said, "Let's go." There wasn't anything else to say. I mean, he had
Bluto from Animal House.
We had guys that steam was coming out of their ears and their noses, and they were ready to go. He fired them up, boy. I can't remember to this day what he said, but I couldn't have said it any better. I could have never said it like Lyle Alzado did. He was the raging bull at that point.
He was quite the guy. Was it good for Howie Long to be mentored by Alzado back then? Because that was his rookie year, coming into the Raiders in the early '80s. I think it was '82 or '83 possibly.
Yeah, Howie came in '82.
Okay.
And Lyle was there in '82, and that was our first year in LA.
Right.
And so Lyle, kind of took him a little bit under his wing. But Howie was, I'm very proud of Howie. He just he took himself from from an upbringing that wasn't the ideal upbringing in the projects in Boston. Went to Villanova. We took him in the second round he was rated, I think, a little lower than that, but we took him because we felt he was very talented, very bright, and had so much potential. Everything was on the upside. And he made himself a great pro and a great person. And he continues to do so on TV. Clean, cut, sneakers.
Like your team was so wild. You had crazy guys like Hendricks and Alzado. These were just wild men, okay? They were out of control. And then you had these cerebral types. You had guys like Todd Christensen was on that team. And Todd just thought he was smarter than everybody. And probably was academically. I don't think he was street smart, but academically he was pretty smart. And he would try to let everybody know at the report. He'd let us know, the reporters every week had let us know how smart he was. He was more than just a tough jock. But, man, you had such a big cross-section of people. And, again, wild men like Lyle Alzado. And Howie Long was like a gentleman, except when he was playing. Piquel, Townsend, all those guys.
Well, Howie was a smart individual, and he had learned some class along the way, and he wasn't the wild, crazy type of animated player like some of the defensive players. Most of the wild ones were on defense because it helps to be on defense and be kind of semi-wild.
Yep.
Todd thought he was a poet because he's always quoting a famous poet.
Yeah.
And using big words. And
he had a big vernacular. He had a very big vernacular.
Yeah, I asked him, what does that word mean? He said, I don't really know, Coach, but doesn't that sound great?
That's Christensen was like that. He's a white dude with a big old fro. Wore 46. The tight end, he wore 46. And he was just always a pain in the butt to interview at the locker room after. That was before the ladies started coming in, because once that started happening in the locker room, they started kicking everybody out into a conference room. But it was some interesting stuff. Coach, I want to ask you one other thing about back those days about Elway's first game. I remember, we got there early and it was still packed. It was 10 times the media that was normally there because John Elway was actually coming into the league after telling Baltimore to stick it or whatever and playing for the Yankees. And then he finally came back and got with the Broncos and the rest is history. But what a game that was. The thing I'll take away with that was standing in the end zone, Elway finally scored on you guys. That guy tried the whole game, and then late in the fourth quarter, he got a touchdown, slammed the ball, and the place went crazy. They went crazy, and afterward, it was just a circus in the locker room getting the interviews with John. What do you remember about Elway's first game when they came and played you guys?
Well, I remember parts of it, but not a lot because that was so long ago. But he was a rookie. That was a great year for rookie quarterbacks. And Elway, I liked him. I watched him. I was aware of him when he was in high school. And he was outstanding. He probably could have gone right to the pros then. He was so physically talented. But he was a great competitor, and it was fun to play for him. And we would knock him down as much as we could because we knew he was still going to get rid of the ball, and just had to keep him in the pocket because he made big plays when he got outside the pocket. But he was one of my favorite guys. It's hard to coach against a guy that you like, but you have to do it. Yeah, you got to do it, and he was one of those guys.
So Elway does this show on ESPN, and it was called Homecoming, and filmed it out at this old high school in Grand Hills High. And he used to be able to, at practice, one of the guys said, "Do it, John, do it." John used to stand at midfield and go back as far as he could and just let it fly and try to hit the crossbar on the goalpost. So they go, "Give it a shot, John." John goes, "Really?" He goes, "All right." So Elway picks up the ball, looks at the crossbar, throws it, and nails it. Now, this is after he's retired. He's like 50 years old, been retired for a few years. He could barely, he's got arthritis in his hands like most quarterbacks do. but he still nailed that crossbar on his first throw. It was amazing. So he was quite the athlete. I could see why you liked him.
Two of my family members played on that team with him. They were both wide receivers. They were actually twins. And Steve was telling me that he missed the pass and it stuck literally right in his helmet. He threw the ball so hard in high school that the ball literally stuck in his face mask. What an athlete, what a can. That's why he could pitch, right? That's why he went to the Yankees, not because of the weather in Baltimore. Get out of here.
Yeah, he had a rifle. He really did. I mean, he did some things on the field. Very few guys you would ask to run one way and throw it all the way across the field, 50 yards downfield, all the way across the field. And John Elway was one of the guys that could do that effectively.
Mahomes might be another now.
And don't forget, Elway was the first guy that I ever knew, and I followed it for a long time, since the 60s, where I never saw that before, where he says, I'm not going to the Colts. He told Irsay, do not draft me. I will not come play for you. And then Steinbrenner didn't want it to get lost anywhere. Steinbrenner wanted to take everybody's thunder, and then Steinbrenner came in and offered Elway a minor league contract, $1 million for the season, at a time when most minor leaguers are making maybe $800-900 a month playing baseball, and that's seasonal money. That's not year round, and that's nothing. But Elway got the $1 million, and then he sat out the year, and then the Colts finally said, "Fine, let's get rid of this guy," And the rest is history. He should have been a Raider, Coach.
Might have been. We looked into it. I trust you. We looked into it because he was right there, right across the bay from us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting. Coach, I know they're going to get with you soon this week and make the announcement whether or not you get in the hall. I'm just going to tell you now, the sources I have, everything points thumbs up your way. Let's hope. Nothing's official yet, but I got a great feeling about this one, man. We are so elated that another Raider, and not just another Raider, Tom Flores hits the hall.
Hey, Coach, if I may, I've got my gold pocket square in today because this is what color jacket you're going to be getting in August. We're just so excited for you, and no matter what happens tomorrow, well, you're going to get in. We really, really, really feel it. I just need you to tell Rich that he's not giving your induction speech. He's been saying this for years, that he's going to be the one inducting you in Canton. Can you please at least set him straight, Coach?
Well, I haven't decided yet who I'll ask if I do get selected.
See, I'm still in the running, John.
You're in the running, Rich.
Tell him, Tom. Tell him.
There's a chance. You have no chance, Rich.
Listen, you don't know how big my wallet. Matter of fact, I think I left my wallet at home. So, Jesus.
Well, Coach, thank you for always coming on our show, and we know next week you're going to be really busy because you're probably going to be doing the circuit as the Hall of Fame coach. So we thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We just love you as a person. I have so much respect for you. We want our Coors Light cans, and nobody is more deserving to get in the Hall of Fame than you.
Meet football legend
saying
Tom
it
Flores,
for years on the radio,
and
we're just so happy for you,
the
Coach.
first
We wish
Latino
you
quarterback and
nothing
head
but the
coach
best of
ever,
luck tomorrow.
a.k.a. four-time champ, a.k.a.
Really? That's it, John? You didn't throw a question at him?
No, I wish him nothing but the best of luck.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for all your support. You guys have been wonderful through this whole journey of mine, and the journey ends tomorrow night, and the after effects start.
Well, thanks for taking us along for the journey, man. Which, like I said, goes back to me to the '60s, the '70s. Back Marv Hubbard, LaMonica, and then I was so happy when you guys were here in LA. Was lucky enough to be a press agent to cover that stuff. It was a blast. I can't tell how much fun it was, and the history of being in the Coliseum, and that's where you guys belong. You guys didn't belong in some fancy septic stadium like Al wanted. Al was crazy. Coliseum was perfect for the Raiders. Perfect. You couldn't police it all, so the fights would break out every week. We had some great ones out there, and I'll never forget that game when Alzado pulled off his helmet and swung it at Chris Ward, or threw it at Chris Ward of the Jets in that playoff game. I mean, that was awesome. The fans were crazy. I remember seeing a few Jet banners lit on fire. I seen Roosterhead get hit with hot dogs. It's just mustard dogs. I always saw a mustard pelting this guy, and he took it. And his rooster stood up, John. You should have seen it. It flattened out after a while with mustard, but just some of the greatest moments in pro football sports in those days, man. It was fantastic. It was like being back in the old AFL.
There you are, Rich.
Action everywhere.
There you are right there.
I think I just took that picture, my friend.
Hey, Bob, you were trying to say something.
Yeah, sorry about that, Bob.
You got cut off, Bob.
I just want to ask Coach, okay, and you just brought up the AFL again. Coach, when it happens for you, you will be you will further that legacy of the American Football League and you know, in that place in the hall. Is there, in your opinion, is there enough representation of the AFL in the hall?
Well, I don't know about that. I think there should be more, but I think we should have our own recognition in the Hall of Fame itself. You know, they have other areas of professional football through the years. We should have our own section just to acknowledge the existence of the American Football League. A lot of people don't even know what the American Football League was.
Tom, that league was way more entertaining than the NFL back then. Back in those, I used to watch those games on CBS all the time. I think Channel 4 had the NFL and Channel 2 had NFL, or vice versa. But I would always watch those AFL games, man, and those scores were always in their 50s, some of them in their 60s. I mean, every week it was like almost like arena football, except played on a 100-yard field, and it was some of the best football I ever seen.
It was wide open. It really was. It was fun to do. It was fun to be part of it, you know, and then it developed. It really added to the evolution of the game itself. Nowadays, it's almost lopsided towards throwing the ball in wide open football.
Tom, after the Packers won the first two Super Bowls, did you ever think the AFL would be able to beat the NFL? And I think we kind of touched on this, but did you really believe that that Jet team could beat that Colt team, that Colt team was just killer? Biggest spread in Super Bowl history.
I was really reluctant to say anything about it but I felt that they would be a good game. But the Jets played a pretty flawless game. And obviously Baltimore did not have a healthy John Unitas. He came in later in the game, but you could tell that he wasn't totally 100%. But the Miami Dolphins, the Jets just did a marvelous job.
Well,
they were the real deal.
Part of the problem too in that game, and nobody knew about it, was Don Maynard was hurt. Now Don Maynard was Joe Namath's main weapon. Could outrun everybody, ran like a gazelle. Guy was quick, but he was hurt. So I guess Eubank didn't want anybody to know it. He's the head coach, Weeb Eubank, of the Jets at the time. And on the first play, they sent Maynard long, and that was it for Maynard. He knew he was going to be hurt after that because he was already jacked up anyway. And they thought, okay, nothing wrong with Maynard. So they had to kind of keep an eye on him, keep the free safety kind of cheating over to Maynard's side, and then the Jets decided to run the ball, you know, and it just worked out great. And if it wasn't, Unitas finally came in. Earl Morrall started that game for Baltimore. Yeah. And then Unitas had to come in and clean up and did throw a touchdown pass in that game, I believe. But
it was a little too late though. But the Jets just controlled the line of scrimmage, and Matt Snell had a big day, and Joe called a good game, and that was it. That it. And the next year, the Chiefs, it wasn't even close. The next year,
they beat Minnesota.
I was lucky to be on the sideline with the Chiefs when we beat the Vikings in the Super Bowl IV, and that was it when we said, well, we are here.
That's right.
You're right, though, Coach. You're right that the AFL needs, I think, a little more representation. That's why I had a chance to cover an arena league team when they were in Orange County just for 5 minutes, and it wasn't long, but the head coach was Babe Parilli. Now I know you know who Babe Parilli is, but a lot of people around there didn't know Babe. It's people need to know these names and who these players were.
Yeah. All right, Babe was my roommate for a while with the Raiders. He spent one season with the Raiders. Yeah, sure did.
Now there's so many great players. All these players could have played in the NFL. There was really not a huge difference. Look at the Chiefs, as you mentioned. We already know about the Raider greats, but in the Chiefs, you know those players could have played. Ed Podolak, they had a lot of great players back in those days. Otis, who was the tight end? Otis Taylor.
Otis Taylor, yeah.
He was a fantastic tight end. Scored a lot of points for him. Did a lot of damage in the Super Bowl against the Vikings, I believe it was, Super Bowl IV. So man, there's just so many fantastic players that came out of the AFL, and just like Dr. J and the ABA and the NBA when they merged. The players could play. They could play.
Absolutely.
But it's just exciting. It's exciting, for somebody like you at the time, just to know that, man, you were seeing history. Probably didn't know the impact it would have today, though. at the
No,
time?
we didn't. We really didn't know what we had. No, we were playing because we had a passion for the game.
Right.
We're not making a lot of money,
Right.
but we had a passion for the game, and we respected the game for what it stood for, which was a game. It still was a game. Then it became a big game, and then now the money is pretty astronomical.
You feel cheated? You
and
feel
it's
cheated a
still-
little bit, Tom, paving the way for all these multi-millionaire athletes now?
Well, some
Those
of them
guys
can
owe
handle
you.
it, and some
They
of
owe
them
you a
can't.
check.
I'm envious, but I'm happy for them. They earn the right to be there. We were a victim of the times, and we're proud of the fact that we were pioneers in a way with the American Football League, and that's the way it was. I mean, just like years before that, the NFL, they were getting even half of what we were getting when the AFL started. So you could go back and back and back.
What's cool about that is I remember, because you guys weren't making a lot of bread, I remember Montgomery Ward's back in the 60s and early 70s. The players would come and sit in the, where they sold the appliances and sign autographs. Didn't ask any money for it. I think the stores paid them. They would give us their 8x10 glossies, sign their names to it. And we're talking guys like Jack Youngblood, Deacon Jones, guys you would remember, Roman Gabriel, Wes Parker of the Dodgers. I mean, all these guys would go into these department stores and sign autographs. Even Wilt opened up a strip mall for us and was giving us ice cream at Thrifty's back in 1970.
Listen, Deacon Jones was still doing that. I'm serious. He was doing that at the Orange County swap meet prior to passing away. He was still hanging out there signing autographs at booths. I would see Deacon out there all the time.
Hey, he was a big star. Probably the best
Absolutely.
defensive end ever.
Absolutely.
You remember Deacon? Did Deacon ever get you, Coach? He ever knock you out?
No, he never did. We started playing against each other in the late 60s, 68 and 69, in preseason games. But the Deacon but I never did have the opportunity to get head slapped by
That's
Deacon.
Deacon had that metal plate in his arm pad. You found out they found out about it, right?
Yeah.
He would have knocked you out with that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That was that's what they said he did. Yeah.
I love Tom. He's not going to throw anybody under the
Nope,
bus.
not at all.
Even
No.
posthumously, he won't do it.
Absolutely not.
Oh
Not
man.
my style.
Tom, we envy you in terms of your career in football, all the fun you guys had, being on a team as colorful as the Raiders. You could have got stuck like with the Cleveland Browns or
The Lions.
or the Rams. There's no fun out there. And but you were with the Raiders organization. As a tough organization to be in. I'm sure Al Davis was not the easiest guy to get along with at times. You had some of the wildest personalities and renegades of all time, and you had a bunch of them all on one team in one season. I think 75% of the felons, and I say that not felons as in being in prison, but I'm just talking about guys that were a little bit more aggressive than the others in the NFL, a la Alzado, Matusek, Hendricks. Man, you had a tough job, but you must have had a lot of fun along the way during your career with those guys.
Well, we had a lot of fun because they had a lot of character, and they were fun to be around, and they knew how to play the game. They knew how to win. They knew how to turn it on and turn it off for the game. Practices, meetings, and if they strayed a little bit, then we'd have to rein them in a little bit and maybe spank them a little bit, so they would behave like they were like our children. And I always said, well, I was one of them once. So I want to treat them the way I wanted to be treated.
Sure.
And by and large, I did when I coached. I treated them like men, though. Give them the leeway that they want, the freedom that they want, and make it, put the burden on them to police themselves. So we always had pretty good locker rooms that help police themselves.
What I would love, you should have wrote a book at all the excuses you got from everybody. That about Matusek looking for his teammates, making sure everybody's in bed. He's got 2 40 dogs in each hand and one in his belt. Walking around the French Quarter, having a good time. Because I couldn't imagine the stories you guys were telling, John, back in those days.
Oh yeah,
I love it. Well, Coach,
Yeah.
we're going to let you go now. We're wrapping this up. This show, we really appreciate your time tonight. Congratulations. I'm going to say it ahead of time. It's not a jinx. I got a great feeling about it. Getting to wear my Raiders shirt tonight in your honor. Don't know, first time I've ever done this on a show where we're dressed in tuxedos and we took a shower actually before the show and combed our hair, and then we threw on a Raiders shirt, Coach, in your honor. So, but hopefully it goes down tomorrow. We'll have some good news, and it, should it happen, I'm going to congratulate you now because I just got a great feeling about it.
And then everybody can shake.
I talked to OJ. OJ told me this, by the way. He already has a line in on that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate all your support, and I'll see you down the road.
It's going to be a Coors Light party tomorrow, Coach. Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Tom.
Thank you for all you've done for the game, Coach. We'll catch up soon. Best
All right,
of luck
Tom,
tomorrow.
Thanks again. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Bye, guys.
Coach Tom Flores, everybody. Flores,
How
everybody.
do you not?
50-time Super Bowl champion, great coach. I mean, just a great guy.
That was unbelievable. The fact that he took the time to come on the show, we know he's going to be doing the interview circuit next week because as of tomorrow night, we know the great coach Tom Flores is going to get in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And we are pulling for him. Again, didn't have a gold jacket, but I got my gold pocket
I wore
square.
my gold jacket
You need
last
that too,
week.
Rich.
It's like a penalty flag here. I wore my Hall of Fame jacket last week during my induction. I swiped my coat. I got to keep it and thought I'd break it out here.
Sounds like there's a chance, Rich, that you might actually be inducting Tom in Canton. I mean, he didn't say no.
Listen,
He didn't say no.
Been his biggest advocate about getting in the Hall. Couldn't understand why with as many Super Bowls he had. Being the first Latin player in the league. Started as the first quarterback for the Raiders. Took the very first snap for the team. His resume is better than 80% of the guys that are in the Hall. Made no sense. But see, he's such a nice guy. He's such a low-key guy. Never gotten any trouble, no scandals. Well, maybe a few scandals, but, we swept those under the rug. So, Tom is just a great guy, and he deserves to be in that Hall, and I'm glad he's getting in, John.
He deserves to get in 100%. So you better go start working on your speech, Rich. You got until August 6th.
Bob's the only one that doesn't like him because Bob's such a staunch Raider fan, man. I mean, a Ram fan.
Look,
He hates the Raiders.
I even wore my silver and black today. Look at this. Even I wore the silver and black today.
All right, I give it to
I was
Gibson.
I was daunting the beard.
Look,
I had my James Harden on.
We had the beards going. We're having daunting a little gold for the Hall of Fame jacket. What a great guy. And I think
I'm
everybody
excited
picked
for the
the
next
Chiefs,
time
right?
we can have him on the show, and we can welcome him in as Hall of Fame coach.
Okay, so
That's what
Bob, yeah, we will. We'll talk to him next week too, and ask him once he gets in. We'll see what's going on. Bob, you're taking the Chiefs, right?
the Chiefs.
All right, John.
I'm going Bucks. I thought you were talking to Ruben.
No, I'm going to talk to Ruben in a minute. You're taking the Bucks.
I'm taking the Bucks.
the Bucks. Larry, what do you got? I got the Chiefs. What do you got, Ruben? You're going to break the tie.
I got the Chiefs.
Shut up. You know what? Never mind, Ruben. All right, 3-2. But it doesn't matter what you
Beat it,
guys say.
Ruben.
It's what me and John say. Me and John are saying it's going to be Tampa Bay Patriots. All right, that's who's winning the game tomorrow. All right. Anybody got a parting shot other than that? I got to get this beard off again. This thing is too much, John. I like it though, but it's
No, man.
It's like James Harden.
Great show tonight.
all
Thank you,
about
Tom
Coach.
Flores, for
It's all
joining
about
us at
Coach
Lighthouse
this weekend.
Studios. We
Yes.
got Ruben in the house too, by the way. I snuck Ruben in here, Bob. I don't know if you saw Ruben, but
Yep.
I know.
He's a
I
big
did.
fan
I
of
saw
Coach
that
Flores, so-
earlier. Ruben.
we
All
snuck
right.
Ruben in the
I'd
house.
like to
One
remind
Raider
everybody, this show is now the Sports Corner. That's going to be our moniker. It's still produced by the Franchise Media Group. We're working out of Lighthouse Studios, but changing up the name, and this is going to be what the show is going to be every Friday. We'll be here live like we have been the
Taking
last
calls,
month.
too, right?
We're gonna start taking calls. You can look us at
Yeah.
YouTube. Subscribe to us, please. Hit the like button. Hit the bell so you know the next time the shows are on. But we're probably going to be live every Friday, maybe Wednesdays too. We'll see what happens down the road. It's just
We'll give the people what they want, Rich.
give them what they want, but don't give them too much.
All right, there you go.
All right, guys. On behalf of Tom Flores, Bob Gibson, John Conti, our producer Larry, and our guest tonight, Ruben, who's a big Raider fan. He's here dressed in all silver and black tonight. Even got his hair dyed silver and black. There, John, see that?
No, that's called salt and pepper.
Oh,
It's
that's
natural.
that's his real hair? Man, you go. When did you start going gray, Ruben?
Come on, Ruben, slide in, bud.
I don't know. It just happened.
Ruben, you need to take my spot,
right.
mate.
Just happened.
Get in there, Ruben.
This is our captain,
Just
Ruben.
Ruben, get in there and
Hurry
sign
up as
off.
we shut.
man.
All right, we got to
Hurry
sign
up,
off
Ruben,
here.
Get in there and sign off.
Come on, put your Raider mask on. All right, Ruben's got his Raider mask. They wouldn't even give those to us at the Raider
Got the Raider sweater going on.
at the
and-
stadium. What'd you think about Tom tonight?
Oh, it was great. It
Your
was a great
idol, right?
interview. It
Your
is.
man?
It is. I'm a diehard Raider fan, and you guys asked great questions. It was a great interview, and I was excited to see Tom Flores.
Tom's always a lot of fun, man. He's always a gas. Had a great relationship with that guy. All right, fellas, on behalf of the group, we got to sign off. Hey, Bobby, we'll catch you later. And join us next Friday night here on the Sports Corner. I'm Rich Estrella. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.